Welcome to the Wellness Growth Show, where we dive into the strategies, systems, and stories behind building scalable wellness businesses. I'm your host, Scott Schumann, growth partner to wellness and health tech founders who are moving beyond one-to-one delivery and into organizations, employers, and institutions. Each week, I sit down with the people actually doing the work, founders and operators growing mission-driven platforms that create real impact and sustainable revenue. Whether you're pivoting from B2C, landing your first corporate wellness contract, or scaling into institutional partnerships, this show is here to meet you where you are, with honest insights, tactical conversations, and zero fluff. Let's get into it.
Today we are sitting with Joel Paquette, CEO of Spark Life Care. Welcome, Joel. How are you
Thanks
today?
for having me. Yeah, doing well. Got my coffee, ready to rock, Scott.
Awesome. Got to have that cup of Joe. Can you explain how Spark Life Care differentiates itself from other healthcare matchmaking services and maybe what unique value you provide to both healthcare seekers and providers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, the biggest difference is trying to provide that full circle of care. So oftentimes different competitors who are really matching to the way that we're trying to match, they're doing so in one or two disciplines, perhaps. I'm really focusing on one or two types of providers, where our model is really to provide a full circle of care, full scope, to allow people to build their dream healthcare team from the comfort of their living rooms. Like, that's really what our mission is. So from physio to psychotherapy, case management, social work, PSW, nursing, dietitian, personal training, like, we're trying to really provide the full scope for them to choose from. And I think one of the unique offerings as we're getting bigger is we're seeing kind of those network effects where we're providing that client, we're empowering the client with that choice, right? With the choice of provider, with the choice of having someone match specific to them, not just based on location and accessibility, but based on their culture, their language, personality, those kind of things. As the network gets bigger, we can match with more specificity, and the minutia of the match becomes even more important. And on the provider side, I think one of the unique things we're trying to provide is really empowering them as businesses, right? Maybe someone who's looking for some extra income and they have a hospital job, right? And we're empowering them as healthcare providers to be able to optimize their businesses, match them with their ideal clientele, match them with the exact niche that they want to be working in as far as population, and then we'll leverage our brand for those referrals. And then the other thing we're really kind of moving towards is understanding that there is no red tape with Spark. So it's very much like, okay, for these healthcare providers, where do your clinical passions, so your clinical skills and your passions align, right? So building groups with that in mind. So then it doesn't really feel like work at all for you, right? It's like, okay, we're going to put together a group. We have some that are based on like a bowling group. They have individuals with disabilities. They all take them bowling. Someone's really passionate about bowling, and they provide support in a different setting than you might normally have in a one-on-one. So for us, it's really about empowerment of the clients in choice, and empowerment about healthcare providers in being able to optimize their business and realize their passions within the clinical setting.
That sounds really cool. Okay. So as a CEO with a clinical background, what have been some of the most maybe unexpected challenges you face in sort of growing or scaling the business? What did you do? Like, how'd you navigate?
Yeah, it was a learning curve for sure, Scott. I think, my background is as an occupational therapist, right? So I don't have a MBA or anything like that. So it was a lot of learning in the beginning, a lot of just patience with myself and with the team. In the beginning, it really was gaining metrics. Like, okay, from a business perspective and me understanding my own knowledge gaps and trying to educate myself and reading books and taking courses and things like that of what are we seeing from a business perspective and a metrics perspective. And then making informed decisions based on that with that clinical underlying background that's been really a great asset from the business side of things. One of the biggest challenges, I think, is as far as investment. Like, I think we are poised for scale and having to solidify investment externally, because we're completely bootstrapped, Canadian operated. And that's been a challenge. I feel like when I go into these pitch presentations, there's more of an appetite to go after someone who's like pre-revenue than an established profitable business, right? And so that nuance is hard for me to not only understand, but to kind of navigate and figure out from an investment perspective.
Okay. Do you have any advice on maybe how you seek funding for their ventures, or like maybe something you could share to these entrepreneurs that are trying to figure out how they raise potential capital?
Yeah, I think grants are a huge one. I think there's a lot of grants available, and if you aren't aware of how to obtain them, what are the avenues to obtain them, those kind of things from a revenue perspective, like they can be low-hanging fruit a lot of times for these organizations in the hospital or rehab or wellness spaces. But I think, putting together a very solid pitch deck and getting ready to redo it like 8 or 9 times.
Yeah.
So you kind of get used to what they're looking.
Be flexible.
And be flexible. Like they'll give you feedback in those pitch deck presentations as to, okay, here's where the gaps were that I'm seeing that you can really kind of build it out. And then leveraging like AI tools to help with that pitch deck in this stuff that maybe you're not as familiar with if you have a clinical background. So I remember looking at using ChatGPT for like, okay, what is our total addressable market? What's our total serviceable market that we can have? Like, and those kind of metrics that I don't know about and I wouldn't even know how to get. Utilizing those tools made that a lot easier for me. And then I can take a clinical lens and review it afterwards and then kind of put the finishing touches on it. That's what I would recommend.
And kind of look at like, what are the investors looking for? Like, what are they going to get out of it? And
who are you pitching to? For sure.
Yeah. Audience is key, right? Audience is really trying to figure that out. Yeah. Cause I imagine, like you said, 7 or 8 times that you might redo the pitch deck. It's like, well, who are you speaking with? And this might not work with 2 different groups, whatnot. So,
yeah.
Okay.
And it's been, sending the pitch deck to like some mentors in the space, I think it has been good. Like even individuals who I've met at networking events, and I'll kind of talk to them about our story. And they're like, well, you know what? I like you. Send me your pitch deck. I'll just review and give you some feedback. And that's been
that's awesome.
Really helpful for me to be like, okay, I'll send them this. And they're like, way too long. Like move these to the appendix, focus on this section. And then you can take the appendix in different sections and move them up depending on who you're talking to. Right.
Okay. So I know that you mentioned ChatGPT and just kind of asking it questions and whatnot. Like, how has the integration of AI impacted operations? So have you got something for you're trying to pitch for money? What about just operations in general?
Yeah, no, it's been huge. I think when I took over the operations before the CEO, I took over the operations and that was a big theme that I had is pushing for AI in automations and whatever we can adopt as tools to decrease our day-to-day demands. And I remember in a meeting with our admin group, I'm like, everyone's job should be to do less work. And to do that, you have to adopt these different tools. And they were joking at one point, they thought that I was a robot because I liked robots so much and wanted to adopt them, right? But it's been huge. I think last year we grew 20%, but we were able to reduce overhead by 10%, maybe even more than 10%, all through automation, all through adoption of tools and things like that. So, the team itself just felt better and more able to manage the scale that we're getting to as an organization. And it's been awesome. It's been great.
Kudos. That's great to hear. Yeah. I can imagine just putting those tools, in place and maybe the frustration of like trying to learn them, but at the same time, it's like when you do, how impactful you're like, whoa, I just like knocked off X amount of hours my day and my week. And then you're encouraging like, work smarter, right?
Yeah.
That's
like
great.
so the tools were like, I would say to them, everything's front loaded, right? Yes, it's going to take you a little bit longer to adopt the tool, to get it embedded into the operations. That's going to take you longer than just doing it manually. Yes. But beyond that, then you're reducing your workload exponentially every single week. Right. So
curious. Did you have to like show them what you were talking about? Did you like walk through these specific tools and then you show them and like, look what this did for me to kind of get that buy-in? rather than
Yeah.
like, here's 3, go study the heck out of them, go play with them or whatever.
Yeah, a
Did you
little
kind
bit of both. Like I
of,
find some of our big tools that we were utilizing were like Scribe was a big one, where if I show you something in a meeting, maybe it's not as good, but if I create a Scribe, you're actually speaking to different types of learners when they're trying to do something. There's videos that you can have step-by-step instructions. So stuff like that was really good. We have Salesforce as our main kind of communication platform. So initially we're putting together like automations and workflows between that and our electronic medical record. And that was really kind of a powerful thing for them to see. And now it's gotten to a point where I've been surpassed from a workflow perspective. Like my team's putting together these amazing workflows to support operations, and they've been more streamlined now than they've ever been. So it's been awesome to adopt those things and really take the baton and run with it. It's been great.
Okay, very cool. What strategies do you implement to ensure that your clients receive consistent care and maintain a strong therapeutic rapport with their providers and whatnot?
Yeah, it's all about the match. It truly is. I think a lot of organizations are focusing on, okay, let's match based off of your location and accessibility of schedule, right? So, okay, we're going to send John in because he's open on Mondays at noon and you want Mondays at noon. And I think there's definitely a place for that, because you have to have that. A lot of situations, you have to have that continuity over everything else, right? For us, it's more so, okay, we understand we want someone at noon on Mondays, but at the same time, I don't want someone different coming in on Tuesdays or Thursdays, or if John can't make it on Monday, I don't want someone completely new. You're having to tell your story again. So really it's about that match. Okay, we're matching on location and the accessibility of schedule, but like a long-term fit. Like this is going to happen for the next 6 months on Monday at noon.
Building a relationship with one person,
that relationship,
right?
and then matching on culture, language, personality as much as we can to help foster that therapeutic relationship is super important. And the bigger the network is getting, and the more dense it's getting as far as healthcare practitioners, the better we can match, right? So, and we're seeing that kind of as we're getting bigger, that we are able to do that. And we've had some clients and practitioners been together 4 or 5 years, right? And so that's the biggest part is focusing on that match. And then we have centralized, quality oversight. So we have directors and care partners that make sure that, hey, if the match isn't the right one right away, that's okay. We'll go back and see who else in the network might be a good fit.
Okay.
But having that avenue for the clients to kind of reach out to and say, hey, here's some feedback that I might have. And then us being proactive and making sure the quality is what we want it to be as far as care and services.
Yeah. So it's like, we're trying to make the best fit, but if it's not, we're open to feedback. We're open to try to find you someone different for both sides, right?
Exactly.
So, it's good. Okay. So looking ahead, what are your long-term goals for Spark Life Care, and how do you envision the future of delivery involving like Canada, beyond?
Yeah. I mean, for us, I think demonstrating how fluid our model actually is really important. So we have a pilot project going on in Hamilton in the summer, and that's going to be really proof of concept for us, saying, okay, we can actually plug and play our model into a new geographic region without solidified referral sources and still kind of gain traction in that area as far as service provision and realizing how our model really works. And so if that, after that, it's picking where we're going to go next, right? Which is really exciting, like a game of Risk in Canada.
Yeah.
I think in my head, the future for us is to be Canada wide, right? And to be a Canada wide organization and bringing our model and how it promotes that accessibility of services to every Canadian. And then who knows after that? I don't know, but that's going to be certainly the focus. And I think you're seeing that, like when you look at some of the shifts from public sector to the community-based sector, you're already seeing, increases of scope of practice with some of the pharmacists, hopefully increase in scope with some of the nurse practitioners, because primary care is a big thing for us in Canada, right? And I think you're going to see more shifts towards the community healthcare sector supporting more so the public sector. and helping take the burden off of them. And I think our model really speaks to that, really focusing on that accessibility and promoting empowerment of both the client and the practitioner. And I hope that we can be part of that future look of community-based healthcare.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this. Tell the audience, how can they reach you?
Yes, they can follow us on all our socials, #SparkCares, and then on LinkedIn and our website, www.sparkcares.com.
Excellent. All righty. Thank you, Joel.